Hi. It's been about 6 months since I've posted on this channel, and there's a good reason for that. Life hits you in the balls sometimes. I moved, I had graduated high school, a lot of shit has happened, but I wanted to come back in a style that was very suitable to me. Something big, something just grand. And you know, I wanted to come back to the new release of one of the most prolific and most acclaimed bands of the past few years. Black Midi. Black Midi is an experimental rock and avant-prog group hailing out of the UK. Their first album, Schlagenheim, made waves for its mix of math rock and noise rock, which is actually seen in the thumbnail of my Best of 2019 list. Hashtag only real Nick Rogers fans would know that. After the success of Schlagenheim, Black Midi followed that up 2 years later with their album Cavalcade, which became a Goliath in the music sphere that year. Its mixture of horns and the instrumentation on their previous record made this a lot more proggy and a lot more jazzy, which was a sound that I really liked. I never released a Best of 2021 video, but this album ranked very highly, so needless to say, I was very excited for the next project that Black Midi would provide. Especially with such a short come-around date, with just releasing a year after Cavalcade, I didn't know what to expect with this album, and needless to say, I was kind of nervous, but does this album live up to the hype? I got it in red. Hellfire is a fantastic album that honestly is Black Midi's best record. It combines the slower and jazzier moments of Cavalcade and the more aggressive and fast-paced moments of Schlagenheim and makes an album that is just a perfect combination of both of those sounds. Like Black Midi said themselves, if Cavalcade was a drama, Hellfire was an action. So if I really want to show how good this album is to you guys, I really need to just go track by track and just detail why every single song works so well and why they work so well together. So without further ado, let's get into the intro of this album, Hellfire. Hellfire has this weird hilter-kilter mix between piano, drums, and Jordy Grief's off-kilter performance. It feels very Captain Beefheart in a way, to where it just feels like so unnatural and just so out of place. The song has a very weird and uncanny feeling that is basically a taste for what is about to come on this record. It features Jordy Grief basically introducing us to the world that is this album. And my theory for how this album is, and like the theme around it, because there seems to be like a general concept throughout it. I feel as if Jordy Grief is like Satan himself introducing everyone to like the world of this album and like the horrible atrocities they're about to see. So it's a very fitting opener for a very hellish album that leads directly into Sugar Sue. Sugar Sue was the third single to this album, and one that I didn't listen to before I got into the album, and I'm so glad I didn't, because this song is fucking immaculate. From the announcer at the beginning, it hooks you into this atmosphere of like a boxer, and it's just so like cutthroat, and it just starts off so smooth and soft to where like you're like, oh, maybe this is a slower track, and then that fucking guitar riff hits you. Oh my god. I remember I showed my friend Sugar Sue because I was like, yeah, maybe he'll like this. He's like more into jazz and everything, and like the main thing he noticed wasn't really even like the, you know, like the jazziness of it. It was the fucking riff. That's how good that riff is. The energy keeps up until the final moment where the guitar isolates itself and plays a little staccato riff, and then all the horns come back in with Morgan Simpson going ham on the drums. Oh my god, the performance is so powerful, it's so grand, it's so lively, and it basically just says, welcome to hell. Except that's the fourth track, but you're almost there. But yeah, Sugar Sue is an absolutely monumental track for the band, and one of my favorites they've done, honestly. And then that leads into the second single of this album, Eat Man Eat. Eat Man Eat is a weird song for Black Midi because it comes across as like an experimental direction where it focuses on like some microtonal elements and some like Western elements. They've dabbled a bit into this genre before, but I feel as if they'd really come across and make something very amazing. Cameron is on vocals this time, and it speaks of two gay men lost after being like seduced and like comforted by a captain who gives them heartburn. It's a weird ass track, and it is out of just nowhere for this band, but I really enjoy how like campy and like out there it is. This is definitely one of the more experimental songs from Black Midi, which is an already extremely experimental band, and that leads perfectly into Welcome to Hell. Welcome to Hell was the first teaser to this album, and I was a little nervous when I first heard it. At first when I heard it, it just felt like Black Midi B-sides in a way, so I was kind of very nervous, but then the more I like sat with this track, I realized like the poetic genius that Jordy Grief kind of has with this song. The song details the horrors of war, and basically Jordy Grief plays a drill sergeant drilling in all of these propaganda messages to you, and it's very fucking disturbing. And the song is also addressed to someone named Tristan Bongo, who is a soldier that is getting scolded by this drill sergeant, and he is also a character that kind of like pops out throughout this album, and you'll see that later. But this is such a brutal and scathing track, and has one of Jordy Grief's best performances I've ever heard. He just nails it on this track. Everyone else in the band nails the sound of it, how grand it can be, and how hellish it really sounds. Like, the song really lives up to the title. This is one of my favorite songs in the album, and it leads effortlessly into the cool down Still.
I feel sunken away. You've been soaking all day.
Still is like the calm after the storm, where everything is already damaged and everything's broken, but you have to just rebuild. That's the only option. It's a very beautiful and moving track, but one of my favorite moments is when like Cam's vocals are like leading towards like the dominant of the like progression, and it like suspends and then goes back down to it. It's so pretty. I'll play that actually right now. That bit of tension added really like throws you off and like makes you really just pay attention to the song you're listening to, and that like is followed by like a brief like blip of explosiveness, and it's just so beautiful. And then the track fades away into like this ambient section for like about 2 minutes, and is to the interlude Halftime, which is like, it's like a radio station sort of. It's like, hey, yo, you're listening to this album, now the next song's about to come on, yada yada. Kind of Queens of the Stone Age in a way. And I don't mind it at all. I think it actually works and sets up the universe of this album very well. But Still is a fantastic track that really doesn't lose any of the momentum that the first 3 like official tracks really did, because it just feels like the perfect cooldown. It is also followed by one of the most grand and explosive tracks of the entire discography of Black Midi. The race is about to begin.
The race was ran, someone lost, someone won. I came and I stayed the same ever since. Outside, the freaks of the wilderness.
This track is too big for me to handle. I'm just a small content creator who really doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, so I'm bringing in someone who knows a little bit more about this band. Introducing LukeOnDemand. I just realized that rhymed.
Hey everyone, Nicholas Rogers fan 227 here. Black Midi, Hellfire, the race is about to begin. The f is that all about? So yeah, Black Midi dropped Hellfire, it was amazing, blah blah blah, who cares about all of that? Today I'm here to talk about The Race is About to Begin, the 7th song off of the album. And oh man, that race sure did begin. First off, I'm immediately taking points off of this song simply for the fact that it includes the race beginning and ending, thus rendering the title useless. So if I were just rating this song solely off of its title, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 10. I cannot believe this band would just lie to us like this. It's about to begin, not starting and ending. Thanks, Greep. Now I'm pissed. Thankfully for all of us, there's much more to this track than a totally incorrect title. In fact, this may be one of Black Midi's best songs to date. And that's saying a lot, especially with the completely loaded first half of this record, having banger after banger with Sugar Zoo, Eat Men Eat, and Welcome to Hell. Speaking of Welcome to Hell, do you remember Tristan Bongo, the soldier who was discharged from the army at the end of that cut? Well, guess what? He's back, and now he is a big fan of horse racing? Yep, that's right everyone. Our favorite ex-army soldier, Mr. Bongo here, is a huge fan of horses running around over and over again for sport. The entire first section of the song, to me, is supposed to represent Tristan viewing his surroundings at the horse park right as the race is about to begin.
Holy shit. He said the song title.
There's this growing sense of anticipation that builds for the first 3 minutes of the track, with the instrumental shifting with almost every verse, creating one of the most complex tracks Black Midi has ever created. Greep's vocal performance also shifts back and forth from dramatic Shakespearean singer to a quick spitter of all things English language. And if you think this sounds crazy, we haven't even talked about the middle portion of the track. Whenever the race actually begins, the track shifts into this absolutely demented cacophony of sound, and Greep starts to spit his ass off. He sounds like a psychotic auctioneer that's coked up out of his mind, just ranting every last thought that goes through his head. He's fucking losing it. And in this seemingly never-ending verse, the actual race is only described for 2 lines. Instead, it delves into Tristan Bongo's mental anguish and how he essentially wasted his entire life betting on horse races. I don't know how to say it other than the dude seems like he's losing it. I hope this fictional character that the band created gets some therapy or something, I don't know. But at the end of this chaotic second section of the track, we enter the outro, which is honestly one of the most surprisingly beautiful portions of the entire record, and Black Midi's discography in general. Greep here is singing dramatically and being very, very philosophical, saying things like, the whore can be an angel, and the hack can be a master. Hashtag deep. To me, this part of the cut represents Tristan Bongo accepting the fact that he has wasted his entire life by succumbing to his addiction. But at the end of the day, he is justifying it. And that's essentially the entire track. The race is about to begin.
So overall, this song is just amazing. It's a triumph in songwriting, and it's maybe the most batshit song they have ever made. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna stare at this Mario picture for absolutely no reason for the next hour. Wish me luck.
Dangerous Liaison! This song gives me such an eerie vibe. I absolutely love it. I love how, like, this song is very stripped back for a while until, like, the horns come in. And, like, when Jordy Greep says murder and the way he says it with his voice, oh my god, I'm just gonna... This track is definitely centered on its story, where it's based off of a farmer who gets tempted by greed to kill a man. And the man dies, he kills the man, and the mafioso boss he can't find anymore, and it turns out that the mafia boss was Satan, who tempted him to his own vices, basically. It's a very interesting story for a very cool and chaotic track. Overall, this is definitely one of my favorites and probably my most replayed song on this album because it's short, sweet, and has that Black Midi chaotic goodness that I've come to expect. It's very straightforward for the band, and I think it is just a fantastic rager of a song. That's what I've come to realize with this album. A lot of it is like not like very strung out prog moments. It's a lot of just explosive like mini moments that like come through at the most random times and make these songs very complete experiences, even for how little the track list might be. Like, some of these song lengths are pretty minuscule for the band. Like, a lot of them are ranging around the 3-4 minute mark when they've been known to make 5 to 6 minute, 9 minute songs. Which I guess gives into the whole action movie mentality that the band had when making this thing, so I understand where it comes from. And it's not really a flaw, it's just something I've noticed. After Dangerous Liaison, it leads into the defense.
Every night,
The Defense is the shortest song on this album, where it talks about a man who owns a brothel and is basically saying all these girls are going to go to hell because they are doing such, like, you know, scandalous things like selling their body, yada yada, for business, when in actuality, the guy who owns the place is going to go to hell. Which, that statement is actually a very fantastic thing to say, because it's like, you know, oh yes, these people are using their body for lust and yada yada, but the person who is monetizing off of them is the one who is truly guilty, and I think that's a very cool message that Black Midi is trying to say. The song's sound is very basic for the band. It is very just cut back, it is very just rudimentary, and it's very basic, but I think the song works very well because it gives Jordy a moment to shine with his more soft vocals, which we really only saw on Marlene Dietrich, and it is a very fantastic cool down from the past couple tracks, and it leads effortlessly and beautifully into the final track of the album. It's 27 Questions.
Thank you for listening. I won't be too long. Just 27 questions.
27 Questions is a really weird song for me because I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of a lackluster closer in my opinion. Whoa. It's your boy, Yik Yak's famous Nick Rogers here to like get rid of that ass claim from earlier. Sorry if it looks like I'm in a prison cell. This is what college is. I hate to break it to you guys. It's not that luxurious. Actually, I like it here, but so whatever. So 27 Questions is actually a very fantastic closer that wraps up all the themes of Hellfire just completely. You have the grandiosity, the amazing instrumentation. You also have the imagery involving war, existentialism, violence. Everything that the album has been leading up to at that point ends in that song. And it also has one of the most brutal breakdowns out of any song Black Midi's produced recently. So yeah, I don't know what crack previous Nick was smoking to think that this album is not just straight flames, you know, like Hellfire. So yeah, that's editor Nick's input. Here is now past Nick giving the outro. So yeah, overall, Black Midi's Hellfire was an absolutely scathing and rebellious record that really experimented with the sound that they already had and also concised it to a very much so more like concise and also mainstream direction, sort of. This is actually very much so their most streamlined direction, where it feels as if all these songs and like all their like different experiments in the past, without like, you know, being so long and like, you know, meandering at times, they kind of like concise it all into just these small brackets of like 10 songs, and it works out so well. And in just 39 minutes they created one of the like decade's best rock albums, no doubt about it. But yeah, to summarize my thoughts, I love this album and I think it's an absolute must hear for the year of 2022, and I'm giving this thing a 9 out of 10. Thank you all for watching and sticking with the channel. It's been such a long time since I've really put time into a video. I've been extremely busy with a bunch of different stuff, including just going to college. Literally, the next video you're probably going to see of me is going to be me in my dorm room. Big thanks to LukeOnDemand for coming on the video and explaining the race is about to begin. He is one of my favorite content creators, and I'm so blessed to have him on the channel. He also made a fantastic video about the history of Black Midi, featuring their like first 2 albums, and I highly recommend you watch it. It's one of my favorite videos on YouTube. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I definitely plan on becoming a lot more consistent over time, and I really hope to make a lot of different types of content in the next few months. And if you've already been here, thank you so much for staying, and I really appreciate all of you. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Please do not dislike because I'm extremely lonely. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.